I'm Judy Shaw for NYSE Floor Talk. Joining me today is Meredith McNaughton. She is the head of Foundry for Builders at Palantir. Meredith, it's great to have you on the show. Thanks for joining me.
Great to be here, Judy. Thanks for having me.
A quick note to our viewers, this interview is for informational purposes only. The NYSE doesn't recommend any investments or investment strategies. All right, now, Meredith, before we get into the details on Foundry for Builders, which is Palantir's offering for early stage and growth stage companies, can you give us a quick rundown of what the platform is?
So Palantir is a software company that builds products that power data-driven operations and decision-making across some of the world's largest and most important institutions. We got our start in 2004 with our Gotham product, which is used primarily in the government context, but we've since expanded to supporting over 40 verticals across the private sector with our Foundry platform. And you can think about Foundry as an operating system that modern companies use to run their business. For example, it's been used to ramp up the production of airplanes, to accelerate scientific discovery, to help build safer cars and more resilient supply chains. Foundry really helps organizations and their users, both technical and non-technical, not just see their data, but really understand and contextualize it all in one place. And the power comes then when teams can harness that source of truth to innovate at a faster rate and get better at doing that over time.
Great. So tell us about the Foundry for Builders program. What's the genesis of the program?
Absolutely. So when we looked at the market for our software, we knew that younger companies could benefit from a platform to help accelerate their growth. In many ways, Palantir actually still operates like a startup, and we deeply value technology that keeps us focused on our core mission and operating as efficiently as we can. But for startups, the way to engage with Palantir on Foundry wasn't really formalized until actually earlier this year when a Palantir alum left the company to start his own. And he reached out and basically explained, look, I'm spending a ton of my time as CEO and all of my engineering time trying to piece together a tech stack that works. And essentially that was a data integration component, something for transformation, something for analytics, a custom application builder, something to manage models. And essentially all of his time was going to attempting to make that work rather than focusing on his core mission, which was essentially helping older Americans make better Medicare plan decisions. And so he asked, can I license Foundry? And so that gave us an opportunity to build out the program. At first contained to just Palantir alums. But what we realized is that even the non-Palantir engineers on these early Foundry for Builders teams were up and running and building new workflows and applications in the platform at a pretty unprecedented pace. And that then gave us a conviction to expand the program, not to just Palantir alumni, but to a broad set of early and growth stage companies.
Tell me about the types of companies that are in the program.
All kinds. We have companies in areas ranging from entertainment to fintech to robotics. We actually just announced our first blockchain company called Elementus, which is using Foundry to make it easier for different players in the blockchain space to understand and equate things that are happening on chain with real world entities. We also announced our first builder in the digital nutrition space called FoodSmart, which is focused on making healthy eating more accessible using Foundry. So basically, there are many different types of verticals, but the common thread is that these are all companies that want to create value for themselves and for their customers as quickly as possible.
Do you have some examples of how companies are using Foundry?
In the renewable energy space, a startup called Bayou AI is using the platform as an operating system to manage wind farms. So different example, but what they're doing is integrating sensor, weather, turbine, historical kind of production data, applying machine learning and physics-based algorithms on top of that unified data asset to ultimately increase the capacity of wind farms, improve power generation, and reduce long-term maintenance costs for their customers. In a very different context, there's a clinical care company called Emeria, who's working to enable researchers to discover novel treatments faster by bringing all of their data plus doctors and patients into the platform. So zooming out more thematically, I would say builder companies are using the platform in a few different categories. Many of them are focused on Foundry as a core data engineering foundation, essentially using Foundry to help accelerate the delivery of their own external product faster. Others, though, are now starting to build out applications directly in Foundry itself, using the platform not just as a backend, but as a front end too. And then still others are using Foundry as their total operating system across all areas of their business. And some of the ones in these more traditional industries like energy and manufacturing are thinking of it as bringing a software edge to their non-software company.
Okay, so Meredith, if I'm a startup, how do I know if I need Foundry?
In our experience at Palantir, staying hyper-focused on our core technology and mission has been the biggest driver of our impact. And similarly, we think that all companies and startups should be focusing their finite time on whatever will be driving the most value for them. Foundry makes it so that startups can refocus their technical team's efforts on increasing the ambition of the company and not manually piecing together different systems or provisioning and managing cloud infrastructure. In some way, focusing on keeping the tech stack above water rather than really leveraging the tech stack to accelerate their core business. So I would say really any company with an active data engineering or operational challenge that they're trying to solve quickly with a team that's ready to start building could absolutely benefit from exploring Foundry for Builders with us.
All right, Meredith, it's been wonderful to talk with you. Thank you for joining me on NYSE Floor Talk.
Thanks for having me.